Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the SAP IP Business Talks. That was a long time over the June without any IP business talk, but that was due to vacation. And then I had the final part of the SAP MEPLM with the EPO, and that took me a lot of time. And so this is the first show now after 4 weeks without no show. And I'm very happy to have with me Alihan Kaya. Today, we talk about the issues of, on the one side, green sectors, sustainable technologies, and at the same time, excuse me, my camera is doing whatever they want. Okay. And we talk about especially these sustainable technologies and in green sector, about Asian companies and how they behave and what are their opportunities to come to the European market. So very fascinating topic, and I'm happy to have Dr. Kaya with me. So Alihan, first of all, where are you, and especially what brought you to this strange field of IP? So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alex. Excellent and very valid question. My name is Alihan. First of all, thank you for having me here and giving me the opportunity to share this experience with the CEP and IP business talks. And the big question is, of course, how did you end up in an IP world? Um, I have never seen any child when you ask them like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I have never seen any child who dreams to become a patent attorney or an IP lawyer or something. So usually, and it's also something we don't necessarily have a university for now. CEP, thanks to them, have a lot of programs, but it's not a very classical university degree where you learn the theory. So it somehow happens by itself. So, and as far as I observe, people are kind of pushed into this field whenever they have some glimpse of knowledge. Someone asks them to, okay, you know some stuff about IP. From now on, you do that thing in our company. You are responsible of that. And like, but it's so complicated, and it's no, if you don't want to do it, you do it from now on. So with me, it happened exactly like this. I am actually a researcher. I used to be a researcher in the academy. I did research for long years about thermal systems, specifically about the boiling of liquids, boiling phenomenon, the physics behind it. But since my older brother, who is Erdem, he's 10 years older than me. He has been into this business from the beginning of his career. Somehow it kept on coming to me, and somehow I got it from him. I used to help his business a lot with patent searches and translations before the machine translations, Turkish, English, German translations, and somehow I got affiliated with it. But then in the later my career, when I was a researcher, always whenever I'm in a lab, these IP stuff came to my table. My professors asked me to do it, or like whenever there's a, I don't know, project application for a funding, I did the patent search. I always tried to get a distance from it. Like, no, I'm a researcher. I'm just gonna do the research, and it just kept like elastic rubber. It just kept hitting me back. I could never get rid of it. And after trying to get rid of it for many years, I kind of gave up. And then now I'm working with them.
You surrender to IP.
I surrendered to the IP. How do you say it? Yeah, I surrendered to the IP God, whatever. And then now I am actually, the thing is, I'm saying as if it's something bad. I really find it fascinating. And from the first moment, I found IP fascinating because I love science, I love languages, I love analyzing complex situations. This is really I love this challenge always. And in the IP world, especially, okay, I'm from the technical side with the patents, with the focus on patents. I found a combination of those three, which always fascinated me. And then I had the chance to really just also accept doing on and off work in IP. I also worked for a long time in a Japanese company in Belgium. Their EMEA headquarters as an IP consultant. There, I really got immersed into this field. Also, I saw it from the R&D side, from a large manufacturer, multinational side, and I saw how important it is. That really convinced me it is like an vital artery of any company who is producing, who is generating ideas, who wants to have a strong market presence. And I saw that we need to tackle this thing from point A to point Z, and we need to be aware of every incremental step throughout the innovation cycle. And we need to tailor an IP strategy for all of these intermediate steps to ensure the best result. Because the ones, this is what I saw, the ones who has this strategy on a high resolution, let's say, are the most successful ones.
Yeah.
That's why I always now I feel like I'm in the right place, and I am in a meaningful sector, and I really like helping people, helping clients with passion, with their products, and I think it's perfectly fitting with my personal interests, personal skills. So voila, I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah, we had yesterday. I mean, I don't know who had already the chance to see my post today, but yesterday I was at EP at the EP Secretariat in Munich, and we had a discussion about usage of LinkedIn and what is the role of LinkedIn for the IP patent profession, and then we had lunch together with the EP editorial committee, and that was absolutely fascinating because we talked about exactly that topic. So how did you came into the field of IP and or strange field of IP, so to speak, because for most people, even the field is not known and they don't know what a patent attorney is doing or all these other job descriptions around
Mhm.
IP, and that it is typically, yeah, by chance. It is luck or bad luck, depends on the
Bad luck.
perspective
Yeah,
that you start you start in that field. So it's a
yeah,
question of reputation and and advertisements, awareness building, so that this area exists, and my understanding is that more, but I'm listening to a lot of podcasts and in high tech podcasts, and in many
hmm,
of them nowadays, IP appears. Yeah, so because OpenAI and New York Times or OpenAI and Microsoft and all that is around IP. Today, and that's fascinating that we arrived already in a knowledge economy, and in a knowledge economy IP is a key asset. It's not anymore something which is a luxury good. Many companies depend on that, and that leads me to my first question to you. So we want to talk about green technologies. Technologies in the green sector, for example, renewable energies, but that's only one part of it, and maybe even not the biggest one. So, and these technologies experiencing a rapidly growing market share. So even so, ESG refers to the fact that investments go into that market, and the question is, do we see that? When you said you are busy in that field, so do you see that also in the patent application numbers? And what would you say? How should companies in the green industries react to that numbers? And I am assuming that they are also growing because of the investments.
yeah. Exactly, Alex. Just to maybe give some idea, like at the moment, more than 30 trillion dollars of assets are used in the sustainable. We can name them as sustainable assets, and imagine that as that capital will be passed from the, let's say, the baby boomers to the Gen X and Gen Z with a growing trend. And we all know that the younger generations, they are more being faced with the environmental threats, that the future of our planet looks worse than how we used to think before. So the awareness, the need, the demand, the customer demand for such products is gonna exponentially increase, and we definitely see this tendency in the patent filings as well, and definitely not only in specified to one region, but from all around the world. The numbers of filings are increasing massively. For example, according to WIPO statistics, now currently 1/3 of the all patent applications are related to sustainable development goals of the UN. So that means there is a massive mentality change when considering your innovations. So people demand that, and companies are now getting more and more aware of this situation, and they want to answer these customer needs, their customer demands. So they put the sustainability philosophy in all their processes, and it's of course the fastest way of the first things that come to our mind are like energy applications, the eco-friendly machinery, or for example the electric vehicles and all the technology that is revolving around it. We see a direct spike in these in those technologies, in patent filings. For example, Chinese green tech patents filings exceeded 100,000 last year.
Wow.
And yeah, and in the EPO, for example, European Patent Office, last decade we saw a 65% increase in the filings related to sustainable products, and it is the second largest volume of applications. First one is, guess what?
I don't know. Tell me.
AI and computers.
Software. Okay. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, but also that because these the AI and computers, they can also be related to sustainable products, increasing the efficiency of the existing system. So it's now getting all intertwined with each other, entangled each other, and this philosophy of sustainable innovation is, we see that it's becoming a core part of the innovation, and that's what I also like in a way that, for example, it's a new world, right? It's a new way of innovating, and it gives enormous open space, enormous free space for new companies, new players, new ideas, new ecosystems, new way of handling or making the products, and a new way of thinking the algorithms. How can we make it more efficient, more light, more eco? It's like a entire way of thinking which can be translated into new products, and also embedded into the strategic steps of product development and R&D. Very practically, at the moment, for example, in the EPO, the highest rising patent applications was on the batteries. It's
Okay.
for the electric vehicles, like about 24% rise every year they book, and this is from this type of data we can see the spearheading technologies, where is the most focus is being laid on, and then the new companies can, or existing companies can revolve their new ideas, their productions, their product development around these trends, and they also see which market is getting hotter and where there is more space or less space. um, it's definitely worth to follow up these trends. They are being regularly published on the by a European Patent Office or WIPO, because this is a growing trend, and people would benefit enormously from these statistics.
Yeah, yeah, got you, got you. I mean, so what I saw is last week a news that between 500 million and 2 billion of US bond invested money goes out of the US and will be invested, for example, in Europe. And there is, and especially in green technologies. So that's one major trend that we have a huge amount of money which flows into Europe, and it goes into green technologies. So that's something which I think it's amazing. And when we talk about regions, right? So
Mhm.
a lot of these renewable technologies are developed and installed in China or other countries in Asia. And
Mhm.
so I had uh, with Dana Kolaruli, I had a wonderful live discussion about smart cities because
Yeah.
the LAS International Conference, in I guess it was in April, was in Singapore, and the big topic was smart city. And
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
we have also on the Dplex, we have a dedicated page to smart cities. And this is basically a sustainability issue, smart city. And
Sure.
most of the smart cities today are in Asia. And they develop these technologies, they implement the things, they have even experience with that technologies. And um, and the demand for these technologies is in Europe. So the question is, uh, do you have any idea, any kind of recommendation and experience what Asian companies should to consider regarding their IP protection when they want to enter the European market? So what is your perspective on that?
Yeah, sure. It's a very interesting trend you're talking about, and actually, it happened by itself, and now there is an enormous chance for the Chinese or other or anyone actually outside of Europe who has a specific focus on sustainable technologies, because we speak of a very developed region with a lot of consumer base, with very sound laws for facilitating sustainable innovation, which is Europe. So it's a very attractive market, and it's a very accepting market for such ideas. So uh, what I would say from what I observed, uh, it's a very dense market. Huh? I mean, the sustainable innovation, the patent ecosystem, it's already quite dense, and there are a lot of players already in the market. And so maybe, and we all know that investing in a completely new continent, which is far from you, it's a big challenge, and it's a big bit of a strain on your wallet. So maybe it's the best to focus on the high value innovations instead of trying to enter with a very, very broad product portfolio. Maybe focus on your best solutions. Focus
So
on
kind of a
solutions
kind
that
of
targets.
signature product? What do you mean with high value? What is that?
So
How can we specify or characterize that?
the characterization of high value can be when a solution is valuable, when it solves a problem very good. First of all, it knows the problem also very good. So when a company knows the needs, the market needs in Europe, or a specific region of Europe, and then has a good has a good product that solves that problem, there is a very high chance that the product can be successful. So instead of trying to be competing with some technologies that are similar to existing ones.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
I think focusing on your own strength. For example, smart cities. We all know that in China the situation is more advanced, or the innovation ecosystem is more denser compared to maybe in European from the European point of view. So that's a strength. Maybe that's the strength that the companies can use. They put to focus on, or I also wanted to, for example, give an example. Every country has its own unique texture, has a culturally, geographically, even the animals are different, and all of these actually our richness, some sort of richness that can mean new things in a new geography, new country. So when the company can translate these own strengths, they know their own strengths really well, and translate to the needs of the new geography, new market. I think there's a much higher chance to expand, much higher chance to build a strong presence in the market, and also brand value, the name, because it's maybe it's too big, I'm saying, but karate, you have a man, he's not a huge muscular man, but can break the tile or set of bricks with a relatively small hand movement. But it doesn't make, because he has a huge hand like a hammer, it makes it with a perfect lining of the muscles from his heel up to the tip of his fingers, and it becomes like a one strong line, and it just can in one point it can focus the energy, and the energy comes from the heel. So I think if a country like China, India, so many unique characteristics, not only culturally, but about the geography, about how the consumers behave. If they can translate these ideas into new markets by taking the strength from their own experience, um, that can have a very big, very a much bigger meaning for the new consumers, I think.
Yeah, I got
And,
you. I got
and
you. Mhm.
yeah.
I think I think that that's the first part which you said, that reminds me to my discussion with Stephen Key in the US, and he focused on these. So he's working a lot with inventors, and he
Mhm.
said you should really start with your customers and their problems, and
Yeah.
how to. So it's, I mean, it's a bit of design thinking, right? So try
Yeah.
to be empathic and try to understand the others, the customers, and start to and try really to solve their problems instead of just selling them your product. That are two different
Yeah.
attitudes, so to speak.
Selling the benefit. That's the not, because you can make a product. Maybe you can even register it. You can patent it, trademark it, whatever. But if you need to know the benefit of it,
Yeah,
and
I like
uh,
that so much what you're saying, because it's always been when I'm teaching, when I give classes in IP strategy, and I always cite these early advertisement for the iPod. So and Apple did not say this is a hard disk drive with I don't know, 200 gigabyte space, memory space or something like that, because people cannot get it what it means. So they said 2,000 songs in your pocket, and that is the benefit, and everybody can understand that what it
yeah,
means for them. And I think that is really this is an attitude, and it is an ability, it is a competency to think in the dimensions of the customers, and especially when it is on a different country or even content, right?
definitely, definitely. Because now when we speak of marketing, when we speak of innovation, sorry, it is very linked to the market demand. Like the marketing department of a, let's say, a large company will need to do a lot of research and then come up with ideas. Look, this is what the customer needs. So whenever a Chinese or Asian or for example Indian company wants to enter to Europe, they gonna have to do this market research to analyze, to detect these needs, and then make the slogan, make the product, make the IP strategy, the branding, the trademark application evolving around that need. And then you can, I think, exactly like you said, when you know the benefit, good, then and when you can communicate it good, like the Apple did, I don't see any kind of obstacles for a product to be successful, or there is a very high chance.
Yeah, and what you said is, I think what is really important here. So I think we should focus also when we talk about patents. We should focus on the customer benefits. I mean, that is this case study um, from Forberg Thermomix, about from the Harvard Business Review, where we try to explain that the cornerstone is the are the customer needs, the customer benefits, and try to understand which aspect of your technology is solving really the problem, is creating the benefit. So I called it in that time, patent the customer benefit. So obviously you cannot patent customer benefit, like you
Yeah,
cannot patent business models. But
yeah,
what you can do is you can start thinking from that point and then go back and say, okay, which aspect of our product is necessary for generating the benefit or for making the business model happen. And that's a different thinking from when your starting point is your technology. And so you're so proud of your technology, but people don't buy technology. They
yeah,
even don't like it. What they want is the benefit. And be sure that you are exclusive in these benefits. And as you said, from a brand, as a trademark and then branding perspective, make sure that you can communicate these benefits as exclusive as possible, so that people say, okay, wow, this benefit I can only get from them. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's really really nicely put, Alex. And from a very technical point of view, also it makes sense. For example, when you enter to a new market, imagine your scope is very broad, your claim scope is very broad. Then you don't know where you will end up properly, or maybe you will do an FTO study, which is actually, for example, for it's a very crucial thing to do, to perform your FTO study to market on top of your market study whenever you are going to expand. And when you have your scope too broad, you're gonna see more obstacles in front of you. But when you focus your claim of scope to this specific feature, or maybe some features which seem to be very beneficial for sustainable goals, or for the customer demands about that field, then you will have much less problems, less litigation risks, and maybe you will find even more partnerships, because Europe is a very welcoming continent for this topic. So people are not reluctant to, or companies or universities, startups are not reluctant to engage in new types of collaborations. And being collaborative, it's also a way to expand in a geography. So when you have this idea, maybe a specific solution, you can maybe even cross license it, or use contracts, share the other features with other companies, so that you have in this collaborative mode. Because it's at the end, there is a fine line between greenwashing and purposeful innovation. So when if you are really purposeful, why you are like always why you should be too protective and not share the benefit, or like be closed to share the benefit with others. But of course, it's not a charity. You want to make money from it. So this balanced way, I think it's a very good strategy for people, for companies or startups from Asia to enter to European market, because European IP ecosystem and IP legal structure is also very established, very complex. Um, it's not. I don't say it for necessarily to. I don't see it as something negative for someone from this. I see it completely the other way around. Very positive thing to, you can connect your nodes to the system, and then you can get the benefit on a much more sustainable and systematic way. So the more you engage with the local partners, the more you engage with the local scientists, employees, or maybe opening a company, for example, you can get a lot of benefits, even from the aspect of filing patents. For example, you can have fee reductions when you are within the EPC region, language related, or maybe on the place where you are, there are some government incentives for that that helps with the European filings. And it's worth to take that step to become part of this sustainable community that is getting every day, every year, every day, more and more established and well connected to each other. Why not be part of it? And we all do this for the common purpose, for the common benefits, benefit of everyone.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. That
that's
reminds me
that.
to these
Yeah.
technology evangelists, which the Hugging Face and HubSpot and other AI software companies
Mhm.
are using. So they have this job title and role, technology evangelist, which
Okay.
means they go around and try to explain to potential customers or network partners the logic, the background, how can things work together, and that is something I think this active networking and explaining how things work and what benefits lie in is very important. And that leads me to something which you touched earlier in that
Mhm.
talk. You touched this feeling, this area of culture, and
Yeah.
I would say it is a very important topic. So I have an IP management letter uh, written on the underestimated aspect of culture in IP management, and so I'm absolutely convinced that culture is a big issue. And when we say that Asian-based companies go to Europe, what is your experience here? So you work with them, and what is your experience about the advantages or disadvantages? What are the challenges when they come and try to make business here? What would you say?
I wouldn't say there is any disadvantage. There are maybe some risks to be aware of at the beginning. So doing your FTO good, having your tailored IP strategy that is based, that reflects the strengths of your product, of your company. Like because an IP is just a shell. Last time you were talking with Ilarit, and she kind of made an analogy about that. Like it's not the IP; it's just like a shell, but the entire company culture, your organizational schemes. How do you work? Why did you create your entire product development? This is the thing that holds it standing. So, keeping this in mind, whenever an Asian company would enter to Europe, they have a strong base. And I want to say they need to be careful about, they need to work with a local ally, local agent. It's your ally. It's someone who knows your target, geography, your target jurisdiction, market better than you, doesn't know your product better than you, but your target better than you.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
um,
A kind of
and
pathfinder.
sorry.
A kind of pathfinder for
Yes,
for
yes.
for the partners. Hmm.
Because even like from small details, it's a risky thing. You enter to a new geography, and you need to have a very sound IP portfolio. You need to think through everything. Maybe, for example, a slogan that makes sense in a dialect of Indian, for the Indian, one of the Indian dialects. I don't know languages, but when you translate it into German, it sounds not so good at all. And or from Chinese, you need someone in local who will do a good trademark search, good for your trademark, for your slogan, and someone who need to give you the insights about linguistic situations, cultural screening, and from the cultural point of view, analyze the competitors, local sensibilities. So, kind of, you need this local ally who understands you very good, and at the same time understands the local geography very good. So,
Got you.
working with
Got you.
this kind of partner, I think that's the biggest trump card in someone's hand when entering to a geography, because like your trademark, your name filing may be rejected. Your like these are sounds relatively simple, but when you cannot protect your name, you have a you have a problem.
Yeah, of
When
course.
you
Of
cannot,
course.
yeah, and this from this kind of point of view, whenever you are entering to a new market, sitting together and talking through and tailoring the IP strategy roadmap together with your local agent is tremendously important. Um,
You know what?
from yeah.
Just a story from my side. We opened the on my website. We opened this resource hub for personal growth, and
Mhm.
we try to help IP experts, especially on the soft skills side. And we made a survey. I asked hundreds of private practice IP experts and also in companies. And one of the key, and I said, make me a list of which kinds of soft skills you would like to have available there, you would like to have which you would like to had in the early phase of your career, which would help you then, and or what you would recommend to younger colleagues. And one of the top aspects on that list were intercultural competencies. And I think
Yeah.
that is exactly what you're saying, that it is so
It's,
important to understand
yeah.
that there are different cultures, especially when it comes to business making, because it has something to do with trust, with personality.
Exactly, exactly. It's a product. It's not only about the technical features, the aesthetic design. It's at the end, it's about feeling that it's also about the feeling that it arises in the consumer, and how the consumer will make associations with this product when this product comes from a completely different culture. So at this point, you say it's very interesting. This cultural, how did you say cultural literacy or intercultural skills,
Competence,
something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I'm from Turkey, or born and raised there. But then I lived for about 15 years in Belgium and in Germany. So um, I know how it feels to be living in a different culture. I had a lot of chance to observe other places. I had a lot of chance to observe my own culture from the, let's say, Belgian point of view. Like I live in these kind of personal identity crisis. That's who I am. But I saw many times, for example. I do also music, and I do for example when I sing in English in Europe, people were like, okay, good. But whenever I sing in Turkish, people really liked it, and for them it was something unique for because I was using my own strength. And when I see, for example, a very specific example, a Chinese, recently I've been in contact with a Chinese entrepreneur who had a startup in Switzerland. And it was about using bamboo in a different way, such that it's a very durable, strong, and ecologic building material. So, and I think this is a very good example of using your local know-how and strength for a new ambition, for a new goal. And it's I worked, for example, with imagine in India, for example, there is a it's in their traditions to be vegan or vegetarian. I'm not very expert. I'm sorry if I am saying anything wrong, but it's obviously there is a very traditional way of looking at this situation. So I think imagine if an Indian company would launch a product that is specified for this need or technology to process such food, wouldn't it would be more reliable maybe, or it will directly make association, because everybody knows that at least some part of India there is this very local culture that's based on that, and you would trust them more. You
Yeah,
would
absolutely.
you would not, and it's a different feeling than when an Indian company makes I don't know, door frames and sells it in Europe, or an Indian company that has something a little bit of its own and sells in Europe. I think those the feeling effect that it would create by the end consumer, it will not be the same. One
Yeah.
will have a more automatically more original positioning, and
Yes. Yeah. I
so
can't
like
agree more, Alian. I can't agree more.
like
Okay, so
yeah, sorry.
using this cultural knowledge and this already existing coined understanding of the other culture, and you use that and not fighting against it. I mean,
No,
that's
no,
a strong point. So our
sorry.
our discussion for today comes to an end. Sorry for that. We
No
could talk
problem.
for hours about that. I think that's
Yeah,
absolutely fascinating. So combining not just technology and IP. So here we have also an intercultural issue and global trade and
yeah,
also sustainable technologies. That's absolutely fascinating, and I think there's a lot to do. And it's great that you tackle that issue, that you help companies on that field. I think that is really something which is important and a wonderful example for what we are looking for at the IP Business Academy. So still our call for IP subject matter experts is open. We are happy to work with subject matter experts like Alihan, who really take care about the specific issues, the specific challenges in the IP world. So we are happy when you apply, and you will find these reminder on each and every post from my side or my colleagues from the IP Business Academy. So, Alian, thank you for joining us for this fascinating discussion. You are at the Dplex also with your topic. You're available there. Tobias already posted it, that everybody who is interested in that field can find you there and can find also the explanation of your experience and background. So thank you, Alihan. And you didn't answer my question. So where are you right now?
Sorry, I am in Bursa. It's my hometown. It's also the headquarters of our company, Alihan Kaya Partners. And
Wonderful.
I am kind of hybrid between Belgium and Turkey nowadays. You know, IP people are, I don't know, floating around the world.
So
I
my
don't know
best
where.
greeting, my best greetings to Bursa. Have a great time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alex.